and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video I would like to talk about 10 books that you should read if you love ATEEZ. This video is part of an ongoing series that I'm making to encourage you to stay home and protect yourself from the ongoing outbreak. And since health is the real treasure here, I will be linking some of these novels in the description down below for you to read for free. So let's dive right in and see what's going on. Now, the first book that I would like to recommend to you today is Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, a coming-of-age story that has many elements in common with ATEEZ's storyline. The novel is about Jim Hawkins, a boy that works at his family's inn in the West English coast. After the inn is attacked by pirates, the boy finds a mysterious treasure map hidden inside of a chest, and the rest of the story follows the boy's adventure to find the treasure. This is a classic that had a huge influence on the modern perspective on pirates, so if you enjoy ATEEZ's storyline, chances are that you will enjoy this book as well. And speaking of pirates, the next book that I would like to suggest is On Stranger Tides by Tim Powers. This is the historical fantasy novel that also inspired the fourth installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. And since Hong Jung has stated that his main inspiration for Pirate King was actually Jack Sparrow, this book is the perfect mix of both worlds. The novel revolves around the story of Jack Shandy, a former puppeteer who becomes a pirate after his ship is attacked on its way to Jamaica. While Jack must learn to survive in the dangerous world he found himself in, the seas are threatened by the legendary Blackbeard, a pirate who is using voodoo magic in order to create an army of undead and find the Fountain of Youth. This is a book full of magic, mystery, and adventure, so if you like pirates and supernatural stories, this is definitely the novel for you. Next up we have Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, yet another book by Robert Louis Stevenson. In my very first video about ATEEZ, I theorized that Stevenson was actually a huge inspiration for the boys' storyline. And if you read the books that I'm suggesting, you will understand why. If Treasure Island was all about pirates, treasures, and adventures, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a novella that, much like ATEEZ's storyline, focuses a lot on the dark side that we hide inside of ourselves. The story for this one revolves around Dr. Jekyll, a brilliant scientist that creates a potion that brings to the surface Mr. Hyde, his evil alter ego that represents the darker aspects of his personality. The plot follows Jekyll's attempt at controlling Hyde as he becomes stronger and stronger as time goes by. So if you enjoy the part of ATEEZ's storyline that is about them confronting their dark sides, check this one out because it's a must-read. Another book that deals with very similar themes is The Double by Fyodor Dostoevsky. This is a novella about a man named Kolyatkin, a government clerk that meets a man that looks exactly like him and that is slowly taking over his life. The plot heavily focuses on the question of whether or not his alter ego actually exists or if it's just a figment of his imagination. And if you think that you might like this one, this is one of the books that you will find in the description down below. Book number 5 is Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, a novel that was heavily referenced in the Illusion music video. This is the very famous story of Peter Pan, a boy that never grows old and that invites Wendy and her brothers to Neverland so that Wendy can become the mother of the Lost Boys, a group of children that Peter brought to the island after being lost in the Kensington Gardens. This book is obviously very popular, but if you love pirates, mermaids, and fairies and want to distract yourself for a few hours, this is the perfect classic for you. And speaking of classics, another book that you should definitely check out is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, a novel that inspired the whole concept behind ATEEZ's Wonderland. Much like Peter Pan, this is a book that needs very little introduction. The story for this one is about Alice, a girl that falls into a rabbit hole and ends up in a strange world that follows strange rules and is inhabited by very strange characters. ATEEZ actually did a really great job adapting the book in their video, so if you want to know more about the imagery that inspired Wonderland, I highly recommend you read this book. Next up we have Utopia by Thomas More, a satirical work of fiction that depicts the journey of a man that visits an island with an ideal social structure. I'm recommending you this one because ATEEZ has a song with the same name. So if you want to know more about where the concept comes from, check this one out because this book actually influenced the modern idea of utopia as a whole. Book number 8 is Northern Lights, a young adult fantasy novel by Pullman. This book is also known as The Golden Compass, and it's the first installment of his Dark Materials trilogy, a series of novels that has a lot of imagery in common with ATEEZ's music videos. The story for this one is set in a parallel universe where people's souls are outside of their bodies in the form of diamonds, animal entities that change according to the individual. And the plot revolves around the adventures of Lira, a young girl that goes on a journey around the Arctic in order to save her uncle and her friend. This book has auroras, snow, compasses, and a fantastic story that will keep you occupied for quite a long time. But in case you prefer shorter books, another work of fiction that you should check out is The Mist by Stephen King. In this novella, the story revolves around a small town that all of a sudden is engulfed in a mist that hides monsters from another world. And I'm suggesting you this one because the mist seems to be quite a recurring element in ATEEZ's music and videos. So if you like horror, this is definitely for you. Last but not least, we have Twilight by Stephanie Meyer, the story of a girl named Bella that falls in love with a vampire that somehow sparkles in the sun. I'm sure that most of you are familiar with this one some way or another. Some of you may love it and others may hate it. But I'm including this one because ATEEZ have a song with the same name and Yosang can actually pass off as one of the Collins. So if you enjoy a cheesy romance with a touch of vampires and werewolves, check this one out because you might actually enjoy it. In case you love vampires but you hate Twilight on the other hand, I would like to end this video on a high note and actually recommend Interview with the Vampire, a novel by Anne Rice that is about a journalist who has an interview with a boy that turns out to be a 200-year-old vampire. This book has nothing to do with ATEEZ, but is much better than Twilight. So if you want to read about vampires, Anne Rice is the way to go. So that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye!